Hello, Will here, and in this video I'm going to talk about how to budget on SSI. And I know that a lot of people on SSI really struggle financially, but it's not necessarily the way it has to be. And there's a way to make your money last if you take advantage of the resources available in the community and uh, just uh, just try to live within your means and not uh, have the mindset of wanting more than what you have. Just kind of be a minimalist and just try to make your money last throughout the month. I received a disability check at one time of around $800. That was probably about 12 to 13 years ago. I was able to make it last and have money left over to do fun things. So uh, let's get started on how to budget on an SSI check. So the average SSI check is $771 a month, and it really has, just this past year it went up quite a bit. It used to be 760 something, and the previous year it was 730 something. So if I'm remembering correctly, but currently, as of 2019, it's $771 a month plus $15 in food stamps. Prices are going up as minimum wage goes up, but SSI is not going up very much. It only goes up maybe 20 bucks a month every year. Uh, Minimum wage is gone from $8 an hour or something like that, shot up to $10 an hour. Now it's $12 an hour, and in some places it's going up to $15 an hour, and that's going to drive up the price of everything. SSI doesn't look like it's going to go up at the same rate, so we really have to find ways to make it last. Try to find other sources of income if you can. This may affect your SSI check, but it may be worth looking into for more financial security and comfort. If you make $2, they usually take away $1. So at $771 a month, you get a part-time job, making maybe $300 a month. Of course, that's extremely part-time, or do some freelance work or something like that. You want to report all your income, but maybe mow lawns or do some housework for people, make about $300 a month. That would be 1,071 minus half of that uh, would be 150. So you'd be $150 ahead. So that's $921 a month you'd be getting every month, and that's pretty significant. So one other thing you can do is look for resources in the community for items needed for the home and for personal use, such as garage sales, thrift stores, charities, things like that that sell things for super cheap. You can get crock pots, you can get kitchen items for just a couple dollars, you can get clothes, you can get artwork, things like that. If you're an artist, you can just buy the artwork just for the frame, because getting a frame could be as much as $100, but you could go to a thrift store, buy a piece of art that has a frame on it already for like $5, and just the frame alone makes it worth it. Use your own art, paint over the art that's on it. Just put some lacquer over it and make it white, and then do your painting and put it back in the frame, and there you go. For $5, you got something really good, which you could sell for a couple $100 at an art show or whatever. So those are just some suggestions. But if you're not on SSI, you can see how difficult it could be to live on $771 a month. Okay, so the first of the expenses is probably, you would think it's the most because rent for most people is their main expense. Rent should be a third of your income. And of course, with SSI, it's so low that a third of the income is probably going to be, for a lot of people, not their biggest expense for rent, but it is a big expense. If you are not in housing, get roommates, but apply for housing at the same time. To keep your rent a third of your income, you're gonna have to live with people. Now, of course, times are tough for everybody. No, not very many people live alone simply because they can't afford it, even if they work. So, if you're on SSI, you're not working. That's more of a reason for you to share expenses with other people to keep the cost of living as low as possible. And if you say you can't live with roommates, that's a problem you're going to have to overcome, because everybody lives with roommates. Either they're living with family or they're living with people that are not family. But almost everybody is living with somebody, a spouse. They, not very many households have a single income. So if you're on SSI, you'll probably have to get maybe a 2-bedroom apartment with at least one roommate. But I highly doubt you'll get a 2-bedroom apartment with the rent split in half and it's still going to be a third of your income. You're probably going to have to get maybe 2 or 3 roommates and even share a bedroom with somebody until your housing comes through. If you even apply for housing, which I highly suggest that you do, Section 8 or something like that. Now, some housing authorities will not take housing applications for people who are not homeless, but Section 8 is everywhere and it will take your application based on income and employment status. So some Section 8 authorities favor the working poor. So if you have a job and you're low income, you'll be high on the list. The waiting list is not linear with Section 8. It's not like you just sign up and get in line. They evaluate each case and pick which case is the most in need. Usually, sometimes it's like a lottery, but sometimes it's linear, and usually what it is, it's needs based. So, most places, if you are working and you're low income, or if you're on disability and you have SSI and you can't afford housing because of that, you'll move up quickly on the list. Some people say Section 8 takes like 20 years, but a lot of these people have been in their situation for 20 years, and a lot of times I tell them, well, if you had applied for Section 8 20 years ago, you'd have it by now. And of course, they're regretful about that. But if you are just getting on SSI or just getting on disability, I suggest you go right down and apply for Section 8. And you can save money by living where utilities are included with the rent. That's one thing you could do. So just make sure your rent is no more than a third of your income, and do what you got to do to make that happen. Okay, so next on the list is groceries. Groceries should be around $200 a month, and that's with your cash, because with SSI, you're only going to get maybe $15 a month in food stamps. But don't even count on that. I mean, if you get the $15 a month in food stamps, great, go ahead and get it. Spend it, $215 a month altogether on groceries. But groceries should include your sanitary items, cleaning items, and other kitchen items, plus what you get in SNAP benefits, food stamps, which should be around $15 a month. Do grocery shopping either weekly or bi-weekly, not monthly. Don't get your SSI check in the beginning of the month and buy all your groceries at that time and just say, hey, it's the 3rd or it's the 1st, it's payday, I have to go out and pay all my bills and do all my stuff and spend all my money and spend the rest of the month broke because I took care of all my business at the beginning of the month. That's not necessary to do. With monthly bills, that's great to do, but with groceries, that's not so good to do because food can go bad, or it's very difficult to plan meals across an entire month. You may run out of food and have to go to a food bank. You should not have to go to a food bank every single month. So One thing to do is to plan meals in between trips to the store. So if you go bi-weekly, plan meals for 2 weeks in advance, and then go to the store and buy what you need for those meals: breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. Only go to the store for essentials between grocery hauls. So if you feel like, things like bread, milk, things that go bad, or things that you may need for a recipe you want to make, just little things. Just make sure you stay within your budget for the whole month. Budget a little bit around the $200. Maybe say you're going to spend $150 on your grocery hauls, and then $50 for the essentials or something like that. However it is you want to tweak your grocery budget to do the different types of grocery shopping that you do. But only go to the store for little things in between grocery hauls, and don't buy a bunch of stuff arbitrarily. Don't go to the Circle K and get soft drinks. Don't do that every day. But once in a while you want to go get some ice cream, that's fine. But soda, if you drink soda, don't drink that much soda because it's expensive. But unless you think you can afford it. But get soda at the grocery store. Don't get soda at the Circle K or at the 7-Eleven or the convenience store, at least not very often. If you like fountain drinks, you think they're better than the bottles or the cans, do that once a week or whatever. But those things could be almost $1 each, and that's like, you do that 2 or 3 times a day, that's $2 or $3 a day. That could be like 20, 40, that could be like $80 a month or $75 a month just in fountain drinks, and that's absurd, in my opinion. Sorry if you're offended by that, but I would never spend $75 a month on soda. So I mostly drink water, and that's, I buy a 10-pack of soda, and it lasts me maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks. So that's the way I do it for financial purposes and for health purposes. Learn to cook and prepare meals from scratch. That's essential for eating on a budget, is cooking things from scratch. And if you don't know how to cook, learn to cook. Find somebody who knows how to teach you. Go on YouTube, watch cooking videos or cooking shows, and learn to cook and prepare meals from scratch. It's fun, it's nutritious, it's healthy, and it's just beneficial all around, holistically speaking, for your finances, for your emotions, and your intellect, and socially, it's better. It's just better all around. So, $200 a month on food and that's your cash. Don't complain that you only get $15 in food stamps. You should be able to afford it, and I'll show you in the end of this video how it all comes together. Okay, next on the list is utilities. Utilities should be around $125 a month unless utilities are included with the rent. Now, this is, you should be getting your reduced rate, just so you know, unless you have roommates. It depends on where you live also. I'm just taking kind of an average. $125 a month for an apartment is probably what it should be, unless something's wrong with your apartment. So if you are in housing, there may be a utility allowance of around $90. So budget accordingly, since you will still need to pay utility bills, which may not be fully covered by your housing. Now, a third of your income, $771 a month, a third of that minus $90, the allowance will be your rent. And so you'll have to take that extra $90 that they're giving you and apply it for utilities, but you'll still have about $35 a month more to spend on utilities. So make sure that you have your utilities paid, because if your utilities get shut off, you can get evicted. If you have roommates, split all the utility bills accordingly. You may be splitting them as much as 4 ways if you have 3 roommates. And I'll show you what that looks like in the end as well. Don't break your back trying to conserve gas and electricity. It isn't worth it when you don't consume that much anyway living in an apartment. Constantly turning lights on and off and taking short showers will only save you around $10 to $15 a month. Split 4 ways is only $2 to $3 a piece every month, and that's just not good for you to be hot in the summer, cold in the winter, not very clean, trying to save hot water, trying not to cook that much on the stove, trying to save utilities that way. Just to save $15 a month, that doesn't make any sense. Why have utilities if you're not going to use them? So I know every little bit helps, every little bit counts, but you got to look at the big picture, and you don't want to be miserable. And so go ahead and use your utilities the way you think you should in order to be comfortable in your home and to be healthy in your home. If utilities are included, bear in mind that you may still have a bill if you go over the usage. Most apartments that include utilities give a reasonable usage amount, but some don't give a reasonable usage amount. I lived in an apartment that included electricity, and it was $55 a month that they allowed, and anything over than that they would charge me. Now they actually didn't charge me, probably because management didn't look at it or whatever. But if they had charged me, I would have had an electric bill even though utilities weren't included. So sometimes that might happen in your apartment if you have a place where utilities are included. But most apartments give a reasonable usage amount, so don't I'm not saying to waste energy. I'm just saying use your electricity the right way, use your gas the right way, and don't don't think just because utilities are included that you can just have unlimited amounts of electricity and just waste energy. Don't waste it, but at the same time, don't be too conservative. Now, other bills such as cable, phone, internet, you want to save where you can. Try to get television over the airwaves if you can, but if not, just get basic cable and watch TV over the internet if it is available. You can get things like Netflix, Hulu, Sling TV, YouTube is free, Roku TV is free. So if you have internet service, you'll probably not get the cable or the satellite TV. You'll just get internet and watch TV over the internet. For phone, companies like Cricket, Boost, and Metro PCS, as well as others, can help you save. You will need to come up with around $150 to get started, but your bill will only be around $30 to $40 a month with unlimited text, talk, and data, and that's a lot better than $80 to $100 or more a month with other companies who may entice you with a nice phone that you still have to pay for. You're just making monthly payments on it, plus you're paying a really high bill. It's just not worth it. And don't rely on those Lifeline phones, aka Obama phones, because again, that's for people who that's really for people who are homeless and have no income, or people that maybe not be homeless but still have no income to afford a phone. If you're on SSI, you can afford $30 to $40 a month for a phone. The Lifeline phones only give you maybe 300 minutes, whereas for $30 you can get unlimited minutes and get text and get internet data and stuff like that. Internet providers will want you to bundle internet, phone, and TV together and tell you that you will be saving. You are not saving anything unless you are putting money into savings. So if you end up spending more, you're not saving. Just look at it that way. You just want to get the internet service. If you want TV and you don't get TV over the airwaves. It's just not available in your area. You can get the basic cable and bundle it with your internet and see how much it costs. Just sort of use your judgment. But the internet service itself can replace your TV service because there's so much online in terms of watching shows and watching things on TV. So what I suggest is to just have phone and internet and not cable or satellite. All right, the next thing on the list is clothing. And if you're somebody that likes to buy clothes, you probably buy clothes all the time. Somebody else might not like clothes. They might buy clothes from a thrift store only just because they just need to have something to put over themselves when they go out. It's up to you. Monthly budget for clothing doesn't mean to buy clothes every month. What I suggest is to buy clothes 3 to 4 times a year and just put money aside every month for clothes, maybe $20 a month. And every 3 to 4 months, go buy some clothes. Purchase high quality clothing so that it will last. I keep my clothes for years, and I buy clothes probably once a year actually, and I spend about $300. So that comes out to about $20 a month. $20 a month is about $300 a year. Ask around about where to buy high quality clothing. If you see somebody that's dressed nice, ask them, hey, where'd you get your clothes? If you ask in a nice way, they'll tell you. Sometimes you can buy clothes online. Sometimes you can go to places like Target and get some really high quality clothes there, JCPenney, Kohl's. But if you want to go to Dillard's, if you want to go to Macy's, you can. Just budget accordingly and get yourself some really nice clothes. Don't go over your budget. Stick to buying something, a few things at a time every 3 to 4 months. Okay, the next thing on the list is grooming. Grooming budget. Get a haircut every 4 to 6 weeks. No, 6 to 8 weeks. Get a haircut every 6 to 8 weeks, 4 to 6 times per year. Budget grooming supplies accordingly. You can try going to a beauty school for free or low-cost haircuts and other hairdressing procedures, like perms, hair coloring, and stuff like that. They're usually, you just tip them $5, $10, or whatever. For hair coloring can often cost $50 to $80, but if you do it at a beauty school, chances are they're going to do a good job because they're under instruction. If they screw it up, they'll fix it. But you could probably get your hair colored for $5 or $10. Do it yourself if you can. Go to the store, buy the hair color. Go to beauty supply shop and buy the hair color, or buy the perm and do it yourself if you know how, or know somebody that knows how. Find a friend to do it for you if you can do that. Don't go over your budget at any given time. Again, I stress that. Do not go over your budget. And I'll show you what a grooming budget looks like. It's about $10 a month or so, depending on how much you want, but just make sure you have enough money to do it. Don't just arbitrarily throw money into this stuff and then see where you end up at the end of the month, because you don't want to overextend yourself. Okay, here we are at the important thing, the mad money, the miscellaneous. Miscellaneous should be a priority to keep you happy. This is the money you set aside to spend on fun things and things that make life just easier and better and rosier and happier. Remember to budget accordingly and do not go over. Spend money on yourself and don't just give it all to your friends, though you can share good times. Now, if you have friends that ask for stuff a lot, don't give it to them all the time. You can give it to them sometimes, but if they're always asking for stuff, you want to question them about that. Why are you always asking me for stuff? Why can't you budget your money and like I do and afford to live? Why are you always broke? Why are you always in need of stuff? You might want to question them about that. You don't want your friends taking all your money, because then you'll be broke and they'll be broke and everybody will be broke, and that's not fun. You want to be able to socialize, and if everybody's broke, that's just not very fun social setting. You don't have to spend all your mad money, but spend a significant amount. Don't be like, well, I'm not going to spend anything because I'm saving up for such and such a thing, and I want to contribute my mad money, my miscellaneous, into the savings to save up so that I can accumulate the money faster. That is not going to work. That rarely ever works. Spend at least some of it on something fun or something to make you happy over the course of a month. You might even spend it on other things that you budget for, such as getting an extra article of clothing, or getting an extra grooming supply, or getting an extra thing for your kitchen, or going out to eat, or something like that. But just be sure to have a miscellaneous fund, make sure it's significant, and spend it on yourself. Don't blow it all on your friends. Okay, so savings. If you have money left over at the end of the month, which you should have something left over at the end of the month. You should not be living from paycheck to paycheck. Even though it may be only 20 bucks or whatever, it's still something. Even if it's $1, at least you made it. You were not strapped for cash. You made it to the end of the month. But if you do have money left over, be careful about saving, as you could lose Medicaid. If you accumulate too much, contact Medicaid to find out how much you can accumulate in savings before they cut you off. Medicaid has a limit as to the resources you can save, including money in savings and cash in hand. Saving money for expensive items that are as much as hundreds or even thousands of dollars is pretty much what you should be using your savings for. But be careful about Medicaid, which will cut you off if you get too much. Be careful about what Medicaid will allow you to have. You can also save money for those months where you're overextended, maybe a family member or something like that. Some family member needed some money to borrow that they needed from you, or some emergency or something like that. You don't want those situations to happen and then you're pretty much, your life is a living hell until somebody comes in and bails you out. So save money for months where you will be overextended. Okay, so here's the breakdown of the SSI budget, $771 a month. So with housing without utilities included, if you're in housing, a housing program, a third of your income is going to be, minus the $90, is going to be around $156 a month or so, depending on what it is. Electric is going to be $75 and gas is going to be $55 on average. So electric might be more in the summer and less in the winter. Gas might be more in the winter and less in the summer. But on average, it'll be about $55 a month. Make sure you use that $90 for utilities, and then the $35 extra you may have to put in, depending on what your utility bill looks like. But budget accordingly and see if you can stay in a place for longer than a year. They can actually average out your usage, and you'll have the same bill every month, typically. And make sure you're getting the low income rate if you can. Then it'll be even less per month than this. Internet, $50, phone, $40. That's pretty much the same across the board. Food is going to be $200. Transportation is something I didn't mention only because it's just going to be, I'm assuming, around $40, because in most places, a monthly reduced fare bus pass is around $20 to $40 depending on where you live. So I'm budgeting around $40. Clothing, $25 I put in there. $20 to $25. $25 would be $300 a year. Grooming, $10 a month. So every 4 months you'll have $40, and every 3 months you'll have $30. That's 4 times a year to get a haircut, plus $10 to buy some gel or whatever. Otherwise, you could do it yourself, whatever. Miscellaneous, $100. That may seem like a lot, but that's what I think it should be. It's only $25 a week to go out and do whatever, or $50 every 2 weeks, however it is you want to do it. But do at least $100 a week, and with this particular budget, the housing without utilities included, with your utility allowance, is $20 a month to save. That's $240 a month a year. And after 2 years, it would be $480. You want to buy a couch every 2 years or something like that, whatever. And you, like I said, you might not spend the whole $100. You might not even spend the whole $200 in food, but if you don't, and you get money left over from food, try to put that back into your food budget for the following month just to see what happens. If you accumulate too much, then go ahead and spend it on whatever. But $200 a month on food is usually what people spend on themselves. Now, housing with utilities included, you're not going to get the utility allowance, but you'll still, looks like you'll be saving some money. So $245 to $250 will be your rent, because it's a 30-year income. You will not have an electric or gas bill, but you will have to purchase internet and phone. $200 for food, $40 for transportation, $25 for clothing, $10 for grooming, miscellaneous, $100, and you'll have $60, $61 left over every month. So $61 is quite a bit of money left over. So you'll have, like, I don't know, $700 a year, something like that, left over every month to buy whatever. And you could purchase after 2 years or whatever, put the money somewhere in, put it into, don't go to errands or rent a center and buy stuff that way just because you're afraid of accumulating too much money. See if you can put something on layaway for a year. So take the $732 or whatever it is, put it down on a computer that's maybe $1,500, a really, really good computer, and a monitor and the whole shebang, and then put in maybe some payments the following year, and then you'll have a nice computer or something like that. That's just a suggestion of how to spend your saved money. But keep some money in savings before you do that, just so that you'll have a cushion in case you overextend yourself 1 month, because you just don't want to do that. So, independent housing with 3 roommates. So if you get a 2-bedroom apartment, it's probably going to be $800 to $1,000 a month. And depending on where you live, of course, but a 2-bedroom apartment with 4 roommates, your rent's going to be about $245 a month for a 30-year income. Electric, split 4 ways, is $19 each, $14 for gas each. Internet is going to be split 4 ways as well, $13 each. And then you have your phone, $40, food, $200. Now, if you share food with your other 3 roommates, it may be a lot less. To feed 4 people is probably only $450 to maybe $500. Doing it this way, you have $800. Unless you want to eat fancy schmancy stuff or whatever, go ahead. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying, if you have roommates, there really are a lot of benefits with splitting expenses, because you do save a lot of money having roommates. But if you're in a housing program that doesn't allow roommates, don't get roommates. If you have a roommate, kick them out. If you violate the rules of your housing program, you'll be on the streets, and your roommate's going to be on the streets too, so that's no good. Don't do that. But yeah, so $200 a month for food, $40 for transportation, clothing $25, grooming $10, miscellaneous $100, and you'll have $65 a month left over to spend on to put into savings until you get a significant amount. I would say save as much as 1 paycheck, so that'll take you about a year. So just save it for a year, and then the following year, save up for whatever. But don't save too much. Again, don't save too much. So that's my video on how to survive on an SSI check. I might make more videos on the subject, breaking it down into various things like grocery shopping, how to do good grocery shopping and clothing shopping and stuff like that. But for now, this is what I have, and I hope you like it. If you do like the video, press the like button, the thumbs up button on the player, subscribe to the video channel, and log on to the blog at recuperate.com and check that out as well. Again, this is Will, and thanks for watching, and God bless you.